Hey everyone, and welcome to a brand new season of AFR. New team, new teammate, new rules. It's going to be an insane season. Anyway, coming in, we now have full qualifying. So, every single session is important. We make one mistake and we are out in Q1 very, very easily. I think this season in Tier 1, a couple of new drivers moved up, including my new teammate Ekim, who's come across from ARL as well to race full time. The gap between first and last place is less than a second in quali, I believe, so it is going to be so tough to make it through every session of qualifying this season. But yeah, we've also joined Aston, which is pretty hype. I much prefer driving it than the Ferrari. It just seems a bit smoother for some reason. I can't really explain it. Anyway, finishing our final lap in Q1, we set a 38.7, which gets us through Q1 relatively easily. P8 there. About a second slower than Hero on that lap though, so not too good a lap. A lot of time left to find. End of Q2, we are currently sitting in 13, so at risk. Coming through though, we're a second up. We set a 38.2, so a much better lap than in Q1. Slightly slower than Mikau as well, so pace is looking pretty good, and that has us in P7 by the end of that session. Fairly comfortably through to Q3 as well. Unfortunately, Ekim didn't make it through Q1 as well. Bit unlucky, got wing damage through the castle, just unlucky. Going into our final lap of Q3 though, braking late into turn 1. Not a great run through there, and not a great run through turn 2 either. Still down as we hit the DRS there onto the next straight. So not a good run through those first couple of corners, really looking to make up as much time as possible through these next few to try and salvage this lap really. We are in P7 at the moment. But with our pace throughout the week, we really should be in a better position than this. A little bit of time gained through turns 3 and 4, heading into this chicane now, keeping it tight to the curb on the left-hander and right-hander, and we gained about a 10th there. So we are starting to find the time, but as we come into the castle section, we really need to maximise our entries and exits here. Gaining a 10th and a half before the castle section, and then nearly up to 3/10 up as we leave the castle section. Nearly 3.5 tenths up now. Absolutely sending it through there. Chasing after this, these two Alpines in front of us, maybe getting a tow from them down the final straight if we're lucky. Both of them just in front of us there. And heading through this final actual important corner now. We're exactly 3/10 up through the end of the second sector. Big Al getting out of the way, so we won't get a tow from him. 4/10 up now as we come through the fast left-right. Just tapping each curb there as we run through there. Looking to maybe get a little bit of a tow from T-Mac in front of us just to drag us the rest of the way to the line, but he's pulling into the pits, so that's not going to happen. And as we come across the line now, we set a 38.097. Big improvement of 4.5 tenths nearly, but not enough to improve our position on the grid. Less than 5,000 slower than Big Al. But Big Al did get a 5-place penalty for illegal blocking whilst trying to give his teammate a tow. So we do move up one position in the grid for the start. Anyway, getting ready for the 5 red lights right now. And away we go. It is a wet start to this race, and we have had a shocking start to it. A lot of wheel spin, really apprehensive on the throttle as well. A little bit of a snap of oversteer on the exit there as well, and Crush gets around the outside of us very easily there. Almost getting around the outside of Potsy into turn 2 as well, so Crush looking very fast at the moment early on in this race, and we're sort of still struggling on traction a little bit through those first 2 corners. Maybe the tyres just weren't up to temperature, I don't know, but we'll see if that's something that affects us through the rest of this race. But for now, we're just going to try and settle in behind this train. Hopefully not lose too much time to them, and hope that we can maximise the strategy with any changes in the weather. It is meant to dry up at the end of the race, so that may play into our favour if we can get the strategy right towards the end of this race. But going on to the section before the castle now, we're right up behind Crush, and there's a bit of a check-up in front of us. We have to keep braking a little bit deeper into the corner than we would like, and Sandeezy actually runs into the back of us. I believe he got wing damage there, and that allows Big L to get through on him and chase after us. T-Mac also, I think, threatening the back of Sandeezy at this point, so it's going to be very interesting what actually happens behind us, you can see DZ already 3 seconds behind us too. He has massive damage there. We head through this downhill left-hander. Still sitting relatively close behind Crush here, to be fair, so the pace isn't too bad. As we come through this final actual corner now, DZ obviously with his wing damage hit the wall again or something, brought out some debris, and we've got a VSC. Skipping on to lap 3, sitting behind Crush, still struggling to, really struggling with traction. It's really, really bad. And we've got Hero off to the side there. He's turned in too early for the castle. No idea how he hasn't fully retired there. He's still in this race somehow. But that incident has brought out a full safety car. There were questions as to whether we should pit early now for a fresh set of inters, but even with the dry weather coming towards the end of the race, we just felt it was a little bit early. So, heading on to the restart now. Feber in charge of the pace at the moment. Takes off now. We get a decent restart, struggling a little bit on traction, but our tyres are ice cold, so we're feeling a little bit concerned about how close Big L is behind us, within 2/10 of us. He's probably not close enough to go for a move, but we go defensive anyway, and that compromises our exit, already struggling with the traction as is, and that allows him to get up the inside and just quite easily get past us there. Maybe a little bit aggressively. We did end up having contact with the wall. Thankfully no damage, but because of that one mistake, we've lost 2 positions. And as I said at the start of the video, one mistake can cost you so much in this tier. It's actually insane how close everyone is from first to last place. Quite often we'll have a train all the way through the entire grid on those tracks where the DRS is particularly strong. Anyway, we're trying to now get back into some sort of rhythm behind Geordie. Try and look for them to make some sort of a mistake so we can get those positions back. But we're still struggling on traction massively on lap 6. Not sure whether this was setup related or I just didn't have a handle on the track in these conditions at all. But yeah, we're really struggling. You see the gap opening up to nearly 8/10 now. We close it a little bit, but we are really, really struggling on the exit of corners here, and just that gap just opened massively. It's almost now out to a second through that couple of corners, and in our desperation to try and close it in, we break a little bit later in this downhill left-hander, go very deep, and nearly hit the wall. T-Mac behind us actually hitting the wall, somehow no damage for him, but that's now cost us another second, so in that instance, we were so lucky not to lose another position there. It's only because T-Mac behind us made a mistake as well. Anyway, skipping on to lap 7 now. We're still holding that gap ahead of us at about 2 seconds, but our teammate Ekim, unfortunately, just tapping the wall there, getting some damage, bringing out the VRC. Once again, thinking about pitting under this VSC, maybe gain a little bit of time on people, but deciding not to in the end, as others in front weren't hitting, and thinking we'd wait a little bit longer for the inters. But as we look at the minimap now, we've got an Alpine stopped in the fast left right. T-Mac has retired from the session. As we head to the turn 1, we have a full safety car because of that. So the decision was made, we would pit for fresh inters this lap, myself and Ekim, and hope to take them through to the dry period at the end of the race and see if maybe others that didn't pit would try and extend their inters, and maybe we could capitalise on their wear or their later pit stop potentially. So yeah, just looking to hopefully take some advantage from this. We're coming out around Trin, Big L and a couple of others that have all pitted under this safety car as well. So it's not a bad place to be. Yes, we're down in 13th, but everyone in front of us pretty much hasn't pit. Anyway, on to the restart. Trying to avoid the mistake of the last restart. We're trying to take the regular racing line, but it's a bit of a check-up in front of us. There's nowhere to go for us, and Trin just absolutely takes advantage of that. Gets cleanly up the inside. We try and fight him back into turn 2 on the outside. We get around his outside there, but on the exit, once again, it's been the story of this race, we just can't find the traction. We've got nothing on throttle in these conditions for whatever reason. Try and fight him back again in the next corner, but there's really nowhere for us to go even if we got around the outside of him. So that's that position lost as well. And once again, we're going backwards. We haven't gained a position on track in this race so far at all. It's just a real struggle for us at the moment in these conditions. We just can't find the pace on exit corners. We seem to be quite comfortable under braking, but for whatever reason, we just can't do anything on throttle. Onto lap 12 now, still chasing after Trin. You can see we're quite comfortable sitting behind him, but we just can't get the traction out of corners to stay close, really. Unfortunately, though, Eckham going through the castle section, just messing up his braking slightly, and unfortunately retiring, bringing out a safety car. Very unfortunate for Eckham. Didn't have the qualifying he wanted, and didn't end up having the race he wanted either. Skipping on later into that lap, we're trying to get Trin to push forward. We've got too much delta, and we want to make sure we jump these guys that are pitting at the moment, so that we actually get this advantage from pitting under that previous safety car. It's going to be close as to whether we actually get them or not. Trin was taking quite easy at one point. We had nearly a second of delta, but we come through turn 1 and we have comfortably jumped all of them. Pondon and Artemis behind us also. So we've got a little bit of a buffer of cars between us and Feber and Potsy and those really fast guys up front that are doing really well in these conditions. Skipping on to the next restart now, we have, I can't remember who was in control of this restart. I can't see the names, but they take off now. Pondon gets a really good restart on us. Really, really good by him. Unfortunately, a little bit too soon for him to take advantage of it, as he would have gotten past us before the start-finish line. But he's actually still close enough that we're forced to go defensive this time. Thankfully, this time we actually made the right decision and managed to defend from him quite well there. And now we've got Pepsi in front of us, up from Tier 2 last season. Had quite a bit of pace in these sorts of conditions in that tier. But he is on older tyres than us, so we might have an opportunity to get past in the next couple of corners if we can manage to find the traction. You can see we're still quite strong under braking versus these guys in front of us. We're not over driving the car into the braking zones either. We're hitting apexes and sort of, taking the correct lines through the corners. You can see, once again, we're just losing so much time under traction compared to the guys in front of us. Pulling away from Pondon behind in traction zones quite comfortably, but no one else. Like, anyone in front of us, we're just struggling so much on throttle. Feber and Potsy, we pretty much just let those guys through. It wasn't worth fighting them. They were just so fast in these conditions. Had a really good handle of it. But on lap 19, so what, 7 or 8 laps later, we are still behind these guys. We just still can't find the traction to get close enough to get a move done anywhere. It's really frustrating at this point because I put so much practice in and I just can't find traction out of any of these corners for some reason. I'm assuming it must have been setup related at this point, but you can see every single lap out of every traction zone we just can't get any traction. But anyway, we're now looking for any opportunity to maybe get past. We break a little bit late here, and it's too late this time. We pushed our luck one too many times, we've hit the wall, and that is damage. And for some reason, I don't know whether it was because I was struggling or whether it was because I was on low graphics or for the first time or something, but I got it in my head that with the rain stopping, the reason I hadn't stopped in time at that corner was because it was time for the dry tyres. We had to pit anyway with this damage, but we decided to go for the soft compound tyres to the end of this race, which you can see just looking at the track at the moment, it is way too early for that.
Yeah.
I think it'll be fine. You can hear me, I'm thinking, it's going to be slippery, but maybe it'll dry up halfway around the lap and we'll gain a lot of time, but the track just looks so wet. I don't know what I was thinking here, and as we head out, we're going to be a long way behind those guys in front for a start.
You're gonna struggle here.
And as we come out of the pit lane now, just watch the snap of oversteer. It's way too early. Look at the shine on the track. I don't know what I was thinking here, but we've essentially ended our race doing this. Down in P14, everyone in front of us is on inters. Heroes pulled 1.5, 2.5, 3.5 seconds on us already. There's nothing. We've got nothing. So
That was a good call,
Yes, we
though.
had to pit because of the damage, but we really should have put the inters on. We might have jumped a few people that were gonna risk the softs later on, but yeah, mistakes were made, and we've got no traction. And on lap 25, we're only just starting to find that time on the softs. We've crashed multiple times, broken our wings multiple times. Trin, who did the same thing as us a few laps later, putting the softs on, has also broken his wing multiple times and ended up behind us, but he's now got DRS. We've currently got lime wing damage at this point. And the two of us that were fighting over a top 5 finish are now fighting over 13th and 14th place. So this race has gone very poorly for the both of us.
Potsy's out.
Trin coming through turn 2, really close behind us. Potsy out of the race, Feber winning the race, Big L setting the fastest lap of the race. It's all happening. Trin going up our outside here. We try and defend him as best we can. Probably could have squeezed him a bit more there, but we left him the room, and once again he gets the traction on us as well. Nothing we could do there. Andocat out of the race, so that's both Mercedes out of the race. Very unfortunate for those guys. We're just trying now to just hang on to Trin so that we might have a chance into the final couple of corners or with the DRS to the finish line. We get a warning there, pushing the track limits, trying to keep up. See, our best lap is a 51.3, so it definitely was not time for the softs at any point in this race. Trin now just pulling away from us outside of a second. We've got no traction anywhere.
Yeah, shit happens.
You can hear me saying it definitely should have been a points finish for us, but that one mistake there probably cost us it. And we come through this downhill left-hander. The gap's over a second. We've lost DRS, so we can't beat Trin in this race either. We're just resigned to a lowly P12, the last of the finishing runners. So not a great race for us as we come through these left-right-hander. Trin binning it, so you can see the soft tyres still didn't have a lot of grip in these conditions. 7 laps after we pit for them, so big mistake that we made there, but we learn from it. We go on to the next race and hopefully have a better result.
Considering, right, we were like a lap down.
There's not much more to say. Not much more to say. Good podium there, 3 different constructors on the podium, so that's pretty cool for this season. No real dominant teams. Lots of teams having one driver doing very well and one driver just making a lot of mistakes. But thank you so much for watching, I guess. Next video should be out around this time next week. If you want to watch the live stream for that next race for Bahrain, that should be uploaded still at the moment. Should be able to go watch that. That was an insane race. I can't wait to have the video out for that. But thank you all so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you're new so you don't miss the notifications of when I go live. And I'll see you for the next one.